Have you thought about selling your house by yourself? What if I share some statistics with you that can help you get 24% more from that sale? Want to know more? Stick around with me on this episode of Going Deep with Gallup Real Estate 101. Hey guys, this is Jason Valentine with Caldwell Banker High Desert Realty, and I am very happy to be here talking to you about selling your home, but maybe not the way that you were thinking about. Some brave souls want to try and sell their homes by themselves, which is fine. But understanding that selling your home can be a difficult and adventurous task, I want you guys to be aware of that, and that's why I've done this video. So today we're going to talk about for sale by owners in the real estate market, and some of the topics that we're going to cover are how many homes are really selling in the market without the help of an agent. We're going to talk about a lot of the buyer perceptions of properties. We're going to talk about how a lot of sellers fail to properly expose their property to prospective buyers and how that hurts them. We're going to look at what kind of result you can reliably get from the internet when you're marketing your property, and who and how many people will you have to negotiate when you go through the home selling process by yourself without the use of a real estate agent. But I want to let you guys know, if you stick around with me today, not only are we going to talk about some of the strategies that are going to help you maybe get your home sold, but at the end of today's show, I'm going to give you some statistics that might result in your home selling for 24% more, so stick with me until the end. All right, so let's get into our first topic, which is the percentage of homes that sell as a for sale by owner. In today's market, with the lack of inventory and the higher buyer demand, some sellers might actually be thinking about embarking on this journey without the help of a professional real estate agent. Anyone considering doing this themselves should be made aware of the increased paperwork that has happened in the industry, and it's increased dramatically over recent years. Industry disclosures have all but become mandatory in the real estate world, and many sellers aren't aware of the risk that they take without disclosing stuff properly when they sell their house. The fact is, and if failing to disclose information about the property or adhering to government regulations, it can really be a costly headache for the home seller after they sold their home and they thought they were complete. Now, here come the statistics that have been waiting for you. As of last year, for sale by owners are only making up about 8% of the homes that sell, all the homes that sell in the entire market. This is the national statistic. So this is the lowest number since 1981. The increased paperwork and increased disclosure requirements are one of those reasons. So I'd like to take a moment, guys, and explain to you about the perceptions that buyers have when they're looking at for sale by owners. One of the things that any seller needs to consider if they're thinking about selling a home by themselves is going to be the perception the potential buyer has of the for sale by owner. For the sake of this discussion, let's come to the agreement that most for sale by owner signs are red and white, and you can pick them up at the local hardware store. So what goes through a buyer's mind when they see that red and white sign pop up in the yard? Well, it's been my experience that a lot of for sale by owners get inundated with calls from buyers who are looking for an atypical situation. It might mean that the potential buyer cannot qualify for traditional financing. This atypical situation might be the buyer who will want you as the seller to own or finance. The buyer might be under the perception that because you're doing a for sale by owner that you need to sell the house, and they try to position themselves with a really lowball offer. So let's get into a little bit of meat of some of these subjects. The buyer who cannot qualify for traditional financing, understand, if they can't qualify for traditional financing, it might mean that they're not a good credit risk. So while this type of buyer might really appear interested in buying your home, it might just be part of the game that they do to drag you along. And in the long run, this buyer will ultimately just want you to be willing to rent the place to them and may not have the full intention of making the purchase. Or if they do want to make the purchase, they're going to ask you to carry the note for 30 years. The buyer may want you to be the lender for the house. That's where I was just going with this. You know, they might want to drag this on for 30 years. What this means is that the buyer sees your for sale by owner sign in the yard and they think you are also willing to be the bank in order to get your house sold. There can be benefits to an owner finance, but most of the sellers need to sell their current home in order to buy their next one. And because of that need to pay off the current mortgage, the flood of calls from buyers wanting you to carry the note, carry the mortgage, is really just going to be a waste of time. And more importantly, the home seller needs to understand the potential risk of financing a home to somebody. It might really be a position where the home seller should have a professional on their side looking out for their family and looking out for their business. Another buyer who comes around for sale by owners and is often the often overlooked disadvantage of selling as a for sale by owner is the loss of a professional negotiator on your side. Some of these buyers, some buyers who solicit for sale by owners, actually seek out the for sale by owners intentionally, and this is the reason. The potential buyer bets that they are a better negotiator than you are as the home seller. They may be closet investors, not revealing that they do this often and have taken advantage of for sale by owners before. So the question comes down to, how good of a negotiator are you? Do you know the ins and the outs of the real estate process to help you get the best deal from one of these closet investors? Or are you willing to chance your family's largest investment to that opportunity? All right, so we've covered a few topics here. We've covered the percentage of homes that for sale by owner. We've covered some of the perceptions of buyers. Let's talk about exposure, to prospective buyers. And I want you to imagine with me. Let's talk about how a property really gets sold in the real estate world is through exposure and process. So imagine, if you will, that you're selling a $100 bill, but you're only going to charge $90 for it. But if nobody knew you were selling that $100 bill at $90, what would the result be? If it was a big secret and nobody ever knew what a great deal it was, how many potential buyers would you get? What I'm getting at here is that the home sellers who want to do this by themselves need to think about an effective marketing strategy to get the home exposed to the largest number of ready, willing, and capable buyers as available. So how do you attract most buyers who are ready, willing, and able to make the purchase? How are you going to expose the highlights of your property to the public? When you do, when are you going to be available for showings? How are you going to get as many people as possible interested in your house? Now, believe it or not, this is just not the first part of exposure. There's a second part that we're going to cover. Are you expecting that every single person who calls you interested in your red and white sign is going to move effortlessly through the closing process? Probably not. As a matter of fact, you should plan a time to follow up and filter through most of the people that call with interest in your house. You need to have a way to gauge how serious they are and if they have the ability to make the purchase. There needs to be a process to make sure that they are aware of the expectations up front and a way to hold them accountable to deadlines and such as they're going through the process. Both of these subjects, exposure to the potential buyers and the process to filter out and find the quality buyers, can be extremely time consuming. It can also be a point of frustration for a lot of for sale by owners because they never anticipated the amount of endless hours that it can take to make this process happen. So I want to remind you that if you stick with me until the end of this video, I'm going to share with you what the statistics say that can help you as a for sale by owner get 24% more for the sale of your house when the time comes. All right, so let's talk about the results of different types of advertising. And just to be clear, I want to give you the statistic that only 8% of the homes in the market nationally are selling as a for sale by owner. That's an incredibly low number. It's the lowest number since 1991. We've talked about how buyers will perceive for sale by owner properties and some of the things to expect from them. I've also advised you about the importance of exposing the property correctly to attract as many of those buyers as possible, and the countless hours that it's going to take to filter through the potential buyers in order to find the small group that are ready, willing, and able to buy. Now, even though you've made it to this point in the video, you're still considering for sale by owner all by yourself. Well, my friend, I have to commend you for your bravery, because it should be rewarded with some great information if you've made it this far. So let's talk about where the buyers are on these for sale by owner properties. Where are they coming from? Having a sound strategy for the internet is very, very important. The statistics are going to tell us that 49% of for sale by owners who advertised their house on the internet, the ones that sold, 49% found their buyer from the World Wide Web, from the internet. 31% of the homes sold by owner had a real estate agent bring the buyer to them. What that means is that the real estate agent was working with the buyer, they were interested in the house, so they brought him to buy it. A couple of things I want you to think about on that. That 31%, it's an important number. It's a big number. And real estate agents work with a lot of buyers. When making your plan to for sale by owner, be sure you include some percentage points from the sale of the house to go towards a commission in that case. These buyer's agents do not like working for free. I don't think any of us do. And being able to offer them compensation for bringing your buyer is a very gracious thing to do. Remember we were talking about that red and white sign that you get at the hardware store? Guys, I want to let you know only 7% of home sellers doing it themselves had the buyer contact them directly from the yard sign. So that being said, less than 1% found out about it from the newspaper. If you're advertising in the newspaper for your for sale by owner, the odds are against you. So just think about that. All right. So these are important numbers to know, because if you're depending on the internet to get your house sold, you might be missing about 50% of the potential buyers that are in the market. Some of you savvy mathematicians out there have already added up all of these statistics and realized that there's 12% of the market missing. So the question comes down to, where does that 12% come from? My answer to you is that you need to have a robust marketing plan to really get the top dollar for your house. It needs to go beyond the internet. It needs to go beyond yard signs. It needs to go beyond the newspaper. This 12% from other venues that you might use to market your property. But when we combine that to the 49% from the internet, the 31% from real estate agents, that's 92% of all buyers that are out there. All right, so you're still thinking about doing a for sale by owner. That's okay. This is an informational video. One of the things that you need to be aware of is how many people you actually have to negotiate with when you go through a real estate transaction. So I think it's important to provide the comprehensive information for those of you who've made it this far, and to include, a lot of these other people that you're going to have to talk with. Everybody's pretty aware that we're going to have to negotiate with the buyer. Obviously, they're going to want to get the best deal possible. There is potential that you're going to have to negotiate with the buyer's agent. Now, you have to be aware of this, because the buyer's agent is a professional negotiator. They do this every day, and they're going to be negotiating for the interest of the buyer. Home inspectors, who will be conducting inspections on the house for the buyer, will almost always come back with things that need to be repaired and taken care of. So you have to be ready to talk to that home inspector. The termite company, yes, Gallup, New Mexico, we do have termites. And if they have invaded your house, you could be looking at a negotiation with the pest inspector to get the sale closed. The buyer's lender. Many buyers in today's market are going to need help with closing costs. How much you need to give up is really going to be a negotiation between you and that lender in order to make things happen. You also might have to negotiate with the title company, ensuring that you have a clean title, ensuring that title insurance is placed properly, and ensuring that closing fees are paid can be all costs that can affect your net proceeds from the sale. So as you can see, this list of just transaction, your communication and negotiation does not stop at the sales price of your home. Add this to the complication of changing deadlines, and the entire process can be very overwhelming if you're not prepared for what to expect. All right, so guys, I'm still a real estate agent. I've given you some great information. I appreciate you sticking with me on this video. Let's talk about and what the statistics say and why is it beneficial. So as we embark on our last topic, I want to thank you for sticking with me to the end. And statistically, how are you going to get more money for your house when you sell it? Not only will you net more money, you will have less stress and feel more confident about the entire process. Now, are you ready for the big statistics? The average home sold in 2017 for sale by owner, $190,000. The average home that was agent assisted, $240,000. Guys, that is a 24% price difference from the median sale of all the homes sold in 2017. But I'd like to share with you a few other statistics as well. 75% of for sale by owners who try to do it by themselves end up using an agent anyway. Typically, they go through many months of frustration, dealing with limited exposure, failing to negotiate, feeling like they've been beaten down. The home seller finally relents and calls in the professionals. Just a word of caution. If you've tried your for sale by owner and are considering hiring a real estate agent, any agent that you choose should be worth more than the fees that you're going to pay. Any agent that you're choosing to sell your house should be able to talk with you about many of the things that I've talked about with you here. How are they going to expose your property to the largest number of buyers? How are they going to, what is their process for filtering through those buyers and separating the ones that can't qualify from the small group that can? What strategies and effects do they have for the different forms of advertising? And how is having a plan to negotiate with a huge number of professionals that are going to be involved with the process, what is their plan to negotiate with them? But most importantly, guys, any professional you hire should offer you a value that far exceeds any fee that you're paying them. Your doctor, despite the fact that you paid for the visit, should keep you healthy. Your accountant, even though you paid for their services, should save you money when the time comes on taxes. Your real estate agent should be your trusted resource of information that will help you make great decisions for you and your family. Now, if you're thinking about a for sale by owner, I just want you to consider if I or one of my team could sell your home for more money in less time with less frustration, would you be open to the opportunity? Give us a call at 505-863-4363 and let's get you started on the process of getting your home sold. And I want you guys to know, even if you're a for sale by owner, I have put together a for sale by owner help pack just to give you a little bit of information and get things a little bit easier for you as well. So thank you so much for the time. I hope you got some great information about the ins and the outs of the for sale by owner. Until next time, if you have any questions about your real estate needs, give us a call, 505-863-4363. Talk to you.